Hey guys, in this video I want to talk about what I learned in 276 days of uploading a video every single day to YouTube. And it's not just one video, I actually did 2 videos every single day for 276 days because I also have a German channel and all of the videos about DaVinci Resolve on the iPad I also made available in German. And not just that, I also created 2 masterclasses, one in English and one in German, from beginner to pro for DaVinci Resolve on the iPad. So if you want to learn about DaVinci Resolve on the iPad, that is the best place. So check out the link in the description. But definitely, the whole journey started when I discovered a hack for DaVinci Resolve on the iPad. And the hack is simple. It's just a shortcut in the shortcuts menu, how to open all of the other pages. So I'm talking about Fusion, Fairlight, Deliver page, all of the good stuff. And we have this also on the iPad. I mean, on this channel, I talk a lot about this. And in this video, I don't want to talk about it. So if you're interested in that and it's the first time you watch one of my videos, hey, and welcome to the channel. I'm Daniel, and here's everything about DaVinci Resolve on the iPad. In this video, I want to talk about 3 learnings that I learned in my 276 days of uploading every single day. Before we start with that, I first have to tell or say thank you to every one of you who supported me in the last couple of days, because now I was for 3-4 days not online. My goal was to create 365 days in a row uploading every single day, twice a day, because 2 videos. I mean, one reason why I did this, or I wanted to did this, is because I don't know any YouTuber who ever did a complete year every single day with 2 channels. I would have been, or at least that I know. Maybe you know someone else. Please let me know in the comments. But this would be a personally goal that I kind of like started telling myself, like, oh, how cool would be this if I be the one who created a complete year 2 videos, right? I'm honest, this was kind of like a cool feeling, but I stopped. And before I now go to the 3 learnings, I want to address why I stopped and why it was important to stop, and also why thank you so much that you guys were so understanding and helped me with the community post that I did like 3 days ago, where I told you that now I will not be daily. So what actually happened? We were planning to go to a hut in Austria with a good friend of us. She's also an entrepreneur. She's a photographer and she does like retreats with pole dance in Iceland. Super cool. If you speak any German, we also have her on our German podcast. Oh yeah, by the way, this is just a bonus, but it was not just those 2 videos every single day in the masterclass. Every week I also publish one podcast, which is also a video podcast. And I did this now over a year, uploading the podcast every day. But I'm not saying this to brag. It's more about to also inspire you that, you know, I will talk about this later. Creativity provokes creativity. And this is one of the reasons why you do want to have a challenge or a schedule like daily. It doesn't have to be daily, but if you do it often enough, you will see that there is a force that drives you. And I'm not talking about habits. I will talk about habits later. I'm talking about this sentence that I first heard from, there was a summit in 2017 when they talked about different movies, like for example Star Wars, and George Lucas talked about this: creativity provokes creativity. Star Wars was limited by just 1 million in budget, and they had to come up with all kinds of different cool ideas. And when they started having those limitations, this is when they had to come up with cool ideas. And I see this many times even today with big budgets and stuff like that. If you have no limitations and you have all the resources on the planet, all the technical resources, the money resources, then in the end, those movies sometimes, some are good, but some are just garbage. You probably noticed that as well, right? So why is that? Because limitations is actually a force that pushes you down one rabbit hole. If you have all possibilities, you discover all possibilities, and then maybe this one rabbit hole where, let's say, this is my opinion, my take on this, right? You go down this rabbit hole and it's garbage, and it gets better, and it gets better, and then your ideas down here, those are the ideas that change everything. And that's exactly what Star Wars did with the limited budget, with out of cardboard stuff. Anyway, don't want to go into this story, but this is one of the things that definitely helped you learn. So what happened? Why did I stop? Because I had this goal of 365 days. First of all, I always wanted to have a channel, or I wanted to be daily. And I practiced this a couple of times in my past. The very first time was when I was 2018 on an East Coast trip in Australia. And for 11 days in a row, I did daily vlog. It was amazing, but those videos were very hardcore. Like, I edited until 9:00. We always had to have a camp spot and the internet there, and it was hard. And down this, like throughout the road trip, I even crashed my laptop at that time, and the display was broken. Still, luckily the laptop was still working, but I had to go and find a screen and then use a screen. And from that moment, I couldn't use my laptop anymore because I needed always a power source and the other monitor. It was hard. And also I didn't have much time with my friends who flew from Germany to Australia. And yeah, it was struggling. But at the same time, I was very proud. I did 11 days. I challenged myself. I learned a lot. If you have limitations, like I said, you are forced to find out solutions. The second time I did this was in 2020 in Tenerife, in January 2020. It was before all the COVID stuff came. And for 46 days, I uploaded every day. And this time I tried a little bit different. I tried to upload sometimes tech stuff if I had a problem with my Premiere Pro, whatever, and I uploaded that. And you will see here on this channel still some of the most popular videos that I ever created were videos where I only edited like 3 hours or 4 hours on that day because I had a problem with Premiere Pro, figured out the solution and shared that. Other days were just vlogging. And also it's kind of interesting because of that 46 days, this is the reason why this channel that you see now with my personal branding, Daniel Kovac, is alive. Because at that time, I already had a different YouTube channel. The other channel was called Working Holiday. It still exists, but I haven't uploaded to that channel since over 1.5 years now. But it was my main channel for the last 6 years, and I shared my whole travel stories there, and I did a lot of mistakes there. Like, it was my first channel. I experienced in German, in English, different countries, different types of videos, sometimes weekly, sometimes I edited for a complete month, 13 hours a day, and I made those kind of videos. So there's a lot of different types of videos on that channel. Anyway, now this year, 276. I figured one more thing out. The last 2 times, I always reached a break point, a point where I couldn't handle the stress and the time and the sleepless nights and everything, because even the 46 days in Tenerife, the videos, even when they started as simple videos, they became more and more advanced. Sometimes I edited for 6 hours until 4, 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning, and then I woke up at 7 or 8, started traveling, started movies and everything. So it was too much. 5, 6, sometimes 7 or 8 coffees a day. It wasn't feasible. It wasn't good for my body. And after those 46 days, I had to stop. But this year with DaVinci Resolve and the experience from the past, I decided done is better than perfect. This is my mantra that I lived this whole year about. And I know that this sentence, you can see it in different frames, okay? I'm not saying that my approach is the only right approach, but it helped in my situation. Because even those 2 times that I tried being daily in the past, I still was a very hardcore perfectionist. Even if I had a deadline, I still tried to put everything in that was possible, and it was too much. I was going over my health. And so when I saw, now coming back to the journey of this channel here, that some of the videos, like 6 months later, after the 46 days, oh yeah, I forgot to tell you, I had the other channel, and because I was afraid what will happen with the other channel, which was my main channel at the time, I dumped all of those 46 videos on this channel here, and then I stopped. The channel had like 100, 200 subscribers, and 6 months later, some of the tech videos completely took off in the algorithm. There was a video about OBS, it's the open broadcast software that I made, and it was crazy wild because that video alone got over 200,000 views, which was at that time my most watched video. That was because Google ranked that video in the Google search, not even the YouTube platform, but outside, and all the traffic came in until suddenly after 200,000, it wasn't listed anymore, and then from that moment, the views dropped. Some other videos like the Premiere Pro stuff, they picked up, and so I think my first 3,000 subscribers on this channel I only got from those first 46 days. And I said this a couple of times now because this series here, through my 276 days, I made a couple of videos where I share my experience and what I learned. And I said this a couple of times now, if you saw the other videos, that I always wanted to see what happens if you're not just daily for 46 days, where like 10 videos got picked up in the algorithm. What if you do this for a complete year? And you use the same mathematics, like simple videos, but helping people, getting it done every single day about a topic. And now this time not over everywhere, because when I did my 46 days, it was really like one day was tech, one day was traveling, one day was, I just went with the flow, which was cool, but it was no niche. This time with DaVinci Resolve on the iPad, I had a niche. I had a product and a niche, and I could see what actually happens here if you do this every single day. I explained you all of this because of 2 things. Number 1, of course, there's some learning already behind that. And number 2, of course, what is the problem that I had now, because I had the goal of 365 days and I had to stop. The first one is because I figured out throughout this whole journey that I'm not the typical managing person. I'm the go with the flow person, the chaotic creative technician. What do I mean by that? Most of the videos were done on the same day. Sometimes I started batching 2, 3 days or 4 days maximum, but never like 1, 2 or 3 weeks like other entrepreneurs can do it. I just couldn't really figure this out. One reason for that is maybe because I'm this typical pain person. So we talk about what is your driving force? Is it pain or pleasure? If you have pleasure, you can think about the future and you plan and pre-plan and you think about, oh, how nice this will be. And then there are the other people. Those are the typical people. If you remember back and you had your examens and you did everything on the last 2 days or the last 24 hours or the last 12 hours. You had sleepless nights and then you pushed all the material in your head and then you did the exam. I'm like this. And you know what's funny? 97% of the people on the planet are like this, pain driven. Pain is what makes us tick and change. And it was the same for me. Like one thing I realized now throughout those 276 days is I became good at what I did. And so sometimes I made my video 2 hours before upload schedule. Not early in the morning. No, I did it the last minute. And that's also a reason why I could never really pre-plan stuff, because I did it last minute. So what happened? Why did I have a breakdown? So first reason is because on the day before the hut, I knew on the hut I will not have internet. I also wanted to take time off. And on the day, I had to do like 8 videos, 4 videos for each channel. And it was too much. I really was thinking about this. I was overwhelmed, and instead of just working step by step, I had enough time. I could have done it, but I was just in my head all the time. That's the first reason. So I was completely not in the mood of creating stuff like that. I was overwhelmed and I punished myself in my head, and I only felt frustration. And when I tried to record something, this frustration was coming into the camera and it just didn't work. And the reason why is because I also at the same time wanted to push myself to be not a failure. That was the voice that I always had in my head. Don't be a failure. Make those 365 days. It's also the reason why when I made this comment about, hey guys, I will have a break and I'm sorry I let you down. Of course, I didn't let anyone down. I also didn't let myself down, but it was this voice. Don't be a failure. Do the 365 days. And the second reason why I had this mental breakdown, this is now a little bit more deeper. I think I have one video in this 276 days where I shared a little bit of insights that I'm struggling where it goes with my business. Because this whole DaVinci thing is a complete new business. It basically, I tapped into that, which is kind of cool, right? This is when I tell that story, how I discovered the DaVinci stuff. I basically just went with the flow and I created and I made and I did, and I got a community and people wanted to know stuff from me, and I created and delivered, and that's kind of cool. But at the same time, I created a complete new business last year, which I didn't focus on anymore. I had a business before that, which I didn't focus anymore. And I had plans for the future, which I didn't focus anymore. So I have still 4 different ways that I can go. And I'm at the moment, at this point, it's still too hard to decide. I'm honest with you guys. It's still too hard to decide. Some of my babies I don't want to drop, but even if I now see that DaVinci has this huge potential, I want to go in there because a lot of filmmaking, I love filmmaking and this is part of me. So the only thing I can tell you is if you are in a situation like this where it's hard to decide and you struggle, and I know from outside it's simple, just decide and everything is fine. Yes, but sometimes it's not that easy, and I don't want to. No, I could make a complete video going over all the things that I have in my head, and I'm doing and going over all of this since now months while still uploading every day. And this is also a problem. And then on the hut in Austria, I wanted to take time and find clarity for my business in the future. I can tell you one thing: I don't have the clarity in detail. I know one thing, that I love filmmaking, and I will use this, even the opportunity with DaVinci, to focus more and more in filmmaking. I cannot tell you what exactly it is. I have plans like maybe I will create an iPhone course, a filmmaking course, or maybe a complete filmmaking course how you can build your own production, something like that feels right. But I haven't decided yet. It will, because my past, I never really talked about my story. 8 years world traveling, and even my first businesses is all about digital nomads and having a passive income business. And this side is completely lost now in the filmmaking thing. I haven't found the right connection yet. Maybe from the outside it looks easy. Yeah, just combine those two, travel and iPad is part of that. An iPad is perfect for traveling. But anyway, this is a complete different topics. This is maybe also only interesting for those people who followed my journey a lot longer now. You maybe understand my thinking process now. But so let's jump back into the 3 main topics that I learned throughout being daily, and why I think you should definitely have some kind of challenge in place for yourself, for your channel, for your growth. And that challenge can be, it doesn't have to be daily, it can be weekly, it can be twice weekly, it can be once a month. But whatever, I would say and suggest, just pick one that feels right for you, that you think you can manage. It's okay. Even if you fail, you will learn so much in the process that I think it's one of the best steps that you can do. So that's for her. Number one, and I talked a little bit about this one, is getting into the habit of getting things done. So if I now look back, even if I didn't do the 365 days, I did 275 videos. 76 videos. That is a lot. I always compare that with people, you know, throughout my journey, I met people, like even people who wanted to start a blog. I started my first blog in 2015. And I think in 2018, I met this girl, super inspirational. I like her. And she always wanted to start a blog. And I know by fact, because we still talk from time to time, still today in 2023, she hasn't started a blog. I mean, for all situations, like I can't decide with my situation right now. There is a reason why we do stuff, but it's also on the opposite if you look at this. Since 2018, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, it's almost 6 years. You can start 2, 3, 4 businesses in that time that could all make you money. I'm not talking about a huge profitable one, but I mean, if you look at the DaVinci journey that I did this year, it's a business that makes you money. And it's not 3 years of work. It's just in 3 months, I had all of my customers, most of my customers, and I had a finished product. So it is possible to create something that will give you passive income. And I always see it like this with the girl. Yeah, I want to start a blog, but I never did it. So getting into the habit of getting shit done. If you have this deadline of every single day and you just have to get it done, you create more. And creating more also leads to the fact that we already talked about. Creativity provokes creativity. So if you're doing this, it will make more shit done. It's as simple as that. If I now look back, if there is any competition, they first have to create 276 days. I probably could now take off 276 days and then return, and then I would still be ahead through the people who haven't done it in the past. You understand what I mean? So this is getting the thing. This is the most powerful thing. It helps you in so many areas. It's a habit. Because when you start thinking about habits and you're learning about habits, did you know that you also can have a habit of not doing things? Like the girl from 2018 till now, not starting a blog, not writing, is a habit. If you always wanted to do something and you don't do it, this becomes a habit. So even if you want to do it and you are not using all of your force of discipline, your habit will drag you back down. This is why it's so important that you get the first reps, that you get the first days in, that you get the first 14 days, the first 30 days. Just start with something and it becomes easier later, because then you have the habit of, oh yeah, I still have to create my video today. Oh yeah, I still have to make it. You understand what I mean? And that also is the habit of talking, for example, every day to the camera. This is why I can now talk without making those many cuts. This is a result of being daily every day. And this brings me to the second point, is execution training. The whole aspect of creating a movie, especially on YouTube, you have the hat on for everything. You are the actor if you go in front of a camera. You are the filmmaker, the cinematographer, how you put the camera on. You are the audio guy. You are the thumbnail guy. You are the editor. You practice all of those positions on a daily basis. And on each day, even if your channel doesn't take off, even if you don't have the success that I had now with DaVinci Resolve on the iPad, my own masterclass, even if you just do it for yourself, 200 days every day, you will be a better filmmaker. You will be better in pre-planning. This is one of the things that I already realized when I, for example, did my 46 days in Tenerife. All my travel vlogs there, I didn't record too much because I only had 1 day. Or I didn't do too many takes. If you have time, you do 20 different takes. And then in the editing, it takes you a long enough time to go through those takes. If you pre-plan because you have limited resources and limited time, you become better in just being in a location where other people are and start talking to the camera. So you learn that, the habit, the execution. And this is even, again, that a YouTube channel is growing and that you even get an audience and that you can sell something. I would still argue that this is a benefit of that, but not the main benefit. I think if you do something like a daily vlog, it benefits yourself and your skills the most. Because if you're done, creativity, limitations, provokes creativity, and all of this, you got the point. We already talked about this. And then point number 3. And this is the big difference that I see, for example, to comparison to my first YouTube channel, where I only did it sometimes once a month, or 1 year I was once a week, building a community. All of those ways kind of you can build a community. So for example, with my first business, it's a Canada blog and a Canada business, and I teach people how to come to Canada on a working holiday visa. Of course, I created a Facebook group and we have our own community there as well. So I'm not saying that there is no community that you can build and you can only build a community with daily, but there's something that I realized: if you are daily, you also start creating habits for your viewers, the ones who actually watch your videos every single day. And those people, it's just a handful of them, they are here with you on that journey and they comment almost every day. And I'm talking now about this intimate community, because some of the days when I didn't want to create, it was just looking at the comments from the people that I know, like Carlos or Chris or Kurt or Sean. There's so many people. Sorry if I'm not naming you there, but there's so many that I always recognize. And you will recognize those people in the comments when you see them repetitively also commenting. By the way, this is also a good tip. If you ever want to be known by a big YouTuber, just come into the habit of commenting every single video and comment something nice. I'm not just talking about, yeah, nice and thumbs up or heart. Actually comment with something interesting. Comment and comment and comment, and people will on YouTube notice you and see you, because we see that in our studio app. Not every comment, but we see them repetitively coming and so on. And there's many more benefits of doing all of this. I haven't even talked about that you can grow an audience, a channel, which in return also can make you money, because if you create a product, all those kind of things, you can have sponsorships. So along the way, I reached out to companies reached out to me. And of course, I have this philosophy, but I already have this since my Canada blog. Money is not the main driver, even if money is important, but money is not the main driver. If there is someone coming to me and wants that I advertise a product that doesn't even belong on my channel, I'm not doing it. And you should do the same. If you want to build trust with your audience, the people want to trust you, it's also about what you recommend. So I only recommend stuff that I use myself, like if the keyboard covers from Editor Keys. I didn't even have to think about it. Of course, I made a partnership with them, because why not? I think it's totally fine that if you have products that can make, it's a big win, win for your audience because they want to use that, win for yourself because you promote something, and win for the company that has a marketing tool more on their disposal because someone like me is now advertising their products. So, and those are the symbiosis that I'm looking for in brands and companies that I can promote, because I would use them anyway. And why not talk about that? Because I think you get the point. So there's also a downside to being daily. I mean, there's a couple of downsides, because I'm not saying that daily is the best way to grow a YouTube channel. We are now in a time where quality overcomes quantity, and daily is quantity. You will never have the time to make as good of a movie than when you actually take more time. I'm also not saying that you should be daily if you're a complete beginner, because that was one of the reasons why it took me so much time. I had this perfectionism. I wasn't as fast as I was today. And yeah, the daily limitation will then make maybe that you create garbage, okay? Which is still better than not doing it, right? So there's always two views how you can look at this. But the downside that I realized of being daily is I became very good at figuring out little things where I could make just a minute video, which is nice for YouTube and you guys learning something. But because of my pain thing that I already talked about, that I'm doing it last minute, those videos who took more time, and I can be very honest, I have the speed editor, I still have to make a video about the speed editor. And I know that the speed editor is not a minute video. The speed editor is probably 3-4 days really digging into it, because if I'm the expert on that, I want to show you all of that, I have to understand all of that. So it takes a lot of time to understand that. And if I explain it, it probably will be a 20 to 30 minute video explaining all the nuances that you can use with the speed editor. And those videos take time. And sometimes maybe I also have to be honest to myself, maybe the speed editor is a project where if I wouldn't be daily and I say, okay, I make one video a week, and now 1 week I can dedicate all on the speed editor and make an amazing video about the speed editor. And so what is the problem now? The problem is all of those kind of videos who take more time, and I have a couple of my list, I push away, because every single day when I wanted to create a video, I picked the videos that were faster to do. Doesn't mean that those videos are bad, right? I figured out amazing hacks for DaVinci Resolve on the iPad, and I'm proud of them. And many of you guys now can do more on the iPad because of them, right? So it doesn't mean that the speed editor is more like the priority of the speed editor is more important, but they are projects. We are filmmakers, Some projects you can just do in a talking one-on-one scenario, and there are projects where you want to have all the B-roll, all the materials, the different cameras. It just takes time, It depends on every project, and those projects I put away, and that's a negative. if you do daily. The longer projects you will neglect. And if the longer project, now comes the important part, in your business or on your channel, if that longer project is actually the one that will drive more traffic, that will make your channel more viewed, then you should also start with that project and not put it off. And I saw that as a big problem. Okay, guys, that was a lot of knowledge. Once again, thank you for the journey. If you're already following my channel longer, thanks from the bottom of my heart to every one of you guys, everyone who bought the masterclass. Thanks and shout out, because you guys who bought the masterclass is also the reason why I can make those daily videos. If I would have done the daily videos and let's say after 2 months realized that I don't even sell my product and don't really help people, I probably would have stopped. So why do I emphasize on that? There are a lot of people on that channel who consume the free stuff. I mean, I consume free stuff on other platforms as well and other channels. So don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that it's bad, but it's always good to know why we have free stuff in the first place. Every channel somehow has to survive. If that channel doesn't survive somehow to make, if it's the passion or the money or whatever, or the affiliates, there's always someone, if it's clicking a link or buying a product. And in my channel, it's the people who decided to learn from me, the masterclass students who learn DaVinci Resolve, all the nuances, and those are the people who with their money keep the lights on this channel. And that is also a big part why I kept pushing through 276 days, and I would have probably stopped earlier. And I want to be very clear, I made this on German and in English, which was also a nice challenge, but my German channel never really grew as much as the English channel. And I probably would have stopped if I would have done only the German channel, because there it was not enough money. I would have probably had to go, it's just simple mathematics. If you don't have the time to create anymore because you have to get a job or search for another field where you can make money, right? I'm basically just saying that because I see that now in the internet world, and I think only if you come to this side, being a freelancer, making your own stuff, you will realize that our world where we have free stuff, there's this saying, if it's free, you're the product. I would add one more thing to that, because it's true as well. If you go to platforms like YouTube or Facebook and you have free stuff, you are the product. So you are watching on YouTube, then for YouTube, you are the product, because they can run ads to you from other companies. But for people like me who is on YouTube, of course I make also money from the YouTube ads. So yes, you are the product because you watch ads. But then at the same time, all my free stuff, I wouldn't survive with the Google ads. It's not enough money. So the main reason why people can consume my free stuff on my channel is because there are people who actually decide to learn more and go more in depth with the DaVinci Resolve iPad Masterclass. And that also keeps the light on. And I want to finish now with one more example. I know you probably already understand that, and people who watch until here, you probably think the same like me. In that case, I don't even have to explain that, but I think this is very interesting. My Canada blog, for example, that was a business for backpackers, and backpackers don't have much money. I was the same. That's why I decided to do that for them. But my whole business knowledge grew over the years. And when I realized that, oh wait, I even picked not the wrong market, but a hard market where it's not as much money to make. The point is, what I'm trying to say is, since now 2 years, I'm not putting out any content anymore on my Canada blog. So imagine if the Canada blog would have made me easily 10,000 a month. I would have never stopped. I mean, that would be bad for DaVinci, of course, right? So it's good sometimes that we stop, that we can do something new. But the point I'm trying to make is, think about it. You consume free stuff and you maybe love a channel. Also support them in any way. Of course, with watching, but because here with the Canada stuff, for example, all the people who want to come to Canada, my channel is stopped now. My channel will not provide any more knowledge and updated videos, because I grew out of that. That's number one. But also I grew out of that because it was never enough money. I was making less than minimum wage. I never were over minimum wage, and I worked for 5 years for that business. I'm not complaining. I'm just telling you that this is maybe also why I talk about this last point so much, because if we walk through this internet where everything is free, a lot is free, someone pays for that. Either the people who pay a masterclass or the person who creates with their time and energy. And if he reaches a point where he realized that it doesn't make any sense anymore, he will stop. And then the audience who loves the content will not get more of that content. And I even want to put out a number. Of course, I don't have the statistic. I would even say that 80% to 90% of the creators can live from their creation. And then they do it for 1 or 2 years and then they stop. And some of them, we create amazing videos and we have it now forever on YouTube and we all benefit from that. But who paid for that. They paid it with their time and energy. They learned, of course, and they maybe can use those craft skills in another area. But in that topic where we maybe would have loved to see more, we don't have the content anymore because those creators had to go somewhere else. And I think I understand that now, and I just want that you understand that as well. That's it. Super long video. I'm back to YouTube. See you in the video tomorrow. I'm Daniel. Bye.